If you see a character in a movie or a TV drama praying, the probable two conclusions could be that here there is a religious fanatic, so possible danger is there. Or the second one, the person is going through a devastating crisis in life and he or she is making an emergency call to God to do what they want. This could be the possible two attitudes of some persons when others be seen praying. In fact, I'm told soon after the 9/11 attack in New York, the churches could not hold the people. There were so many. Coincidentally, 1 year after 9/11, I happened to be in New York, downtown, City Island Parish. The church was empty. So it is not that wrong for certain people to be giving those two interpretations of prayer. However, in today's readings, the message that is conveyed about prayer and about God is totally different from that kind of understanding. Prayer is not about somehow getting hold of God to put God to work for us. Instead, prayer is being drawn beyond oneself into friendship with God. In the first reading, we find Abraham bargaining with God. Abraham is presented as a friend of God. That is the only person who gets that title in the Old Testament. Not anybody else but Abraham is referred as a friend of God. Abraham was so friendly with God, we saw how dramatically he was bargaining. There are so many interpretations about the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah, but what is important is that Abraham was bargaining with God from 50 to 10, then in the end we know that even 10 were not there. God is someone who is close, who is listening, and who does justice to the people. That is the message that we drew in the first reading. Then the gospel gives us the intimate relationship of Jesus with God. The understanding of God at the time of Jesus was that God lives up in the sky on high mountains. He is distant from the people. And interestingly, we find so many examples. Moses goes to the mountain always. Isaiah, Elijah, they go to the mountains. Then God is someone to be feared in the Old Testament. Even the high priest could enter into the Holy of Holies in the temple, where the Ark of the Covenant was placed, only 3 times during the year. That itself shows the distance of God from the people. And Jesus, the carpenter's son, calls that God whom the scholars and the high priests fear even to call the name, he calls Dad, Abba. For Jesus to call God Abba, he lived in that experience. Of course, they lived in a patriarchal society where father was the provider, the protector, the caregiver. For everything, the child would run to the father and to the mother, of course. So Jesus calls God Dad. Jesus is a praying person. We find praying Jesus, especially throughout the Gospel of Luke. Jesus was praying before he chose the 12. The 12 saw Jesus early in the morning praying. Then before the transfiguration, Jesus was praying. At the moment of difficulty, Jesus was praying in Gethsemane. Even on the cross, Jesus was praying. And in spite of everything, he was calling God once again, Abba, Dad. Having gone through so much of difficulties, but still experiencing the presence of God, and he experiences that intimacy with the Father, with God. So we are expected to pray. And prayer is to be recited, but we are also reminded it is not only to be recited. Prayers are to become. In the Lord's Prayer, when Jesus calls God Father, Jesus identifies himself as his Son. When we pray the Our Father, when we call God Father, you give the recognition to yourself as the daughter of God, as a son of God. And we trust that this Father, he protects and he provides and he leads me, the son, me, the daughter. When I call God Father, and when each one prays or addresses God Father, whatever part of the world, in whatever language, then we make one family. And we become brothers and sisters because we address God Father. So the prayer is to be recited, but the prayers are not only to be recited, but to become. And today's invitation is that, to remind ourselves not to think that God is someone who is far away, or God is to be sought out, or like pulling the cord in an emergency in a train, or like calling 911 for our needs. God is always there to experience his presence and also to enter into that deep and intimate union and communion with God and with oneself and with the others.